In this video, I'm going to talk about assigning superelevation to our corridor model. So I have my KM001 design file open, and I have referenced in the data I need to process my corridor. And I have a template defined for this alignment. Before I process the template and assign the superelevation, I want to take a quick look at the superelevation rules and how this is going to be applied to our corridor. So what we have here is a figure that's taken out of the Location Design Manual Volume 1, Figure 301-8E. And this defines the behavior of our shoulder in relation to our superelevation. So as our shoulder gets up to 6%, the slope of as our pavement goes up to 6%, the slope of the shoulder is going to vary from a 4% to 1% with a 7% max break. When we exceed 6%, we're going to put a break in the shoulder, and that slope is going to match our pavement slope, and then we'll back slope at 1%. So this behavior has been defined in our template, and the low side behavior would be as the pavement slope gets steeper than -4%, the shoulder would match the pavement slope. So those behaviors are defined in our template. So let's take a quick look at our template. So I have a 2-lane template here for State Route 185 that I've created. And in the template definition, this is an ODOT template with the ODOT rollover values defined. So there's a point in the middle of our shoulder that's the shoulder break. I'm going to double click and look at the properties of that point. So it's defined as a 4% slope from our asphalt concrete surface course top edge pavement point, which is right here, -4%. But then we have the rollover value turned on. The rollover values are going to define the behavior of this on the high side and low side of superelevation. So I'm not going to go through each of these parameters. I'll leave that to you if you'd like to review those, but we have that defined according to the figure 301-8E, and I'm just going to go ahead and accept those values and not make any changes. So that's going to apply to both the high and low side of superelevation. Now the next thing that we need to have defined is we need to tell the software which points should you consider when you're applying superelevation. So if you recall in the previous video, I created 2 lanes, one for the left and one for the right, and I have a 2-lane template here. So I just need to know which points define the left lane and which points define the right lane. So if I look at the properties of my left edge of pavement point, I can see that there is a superelevation flag that's toggled on. So that's telling the software this point should be considered for superelevation. If I look at something like this shoulder, look at the edge of shoulder point, you can see that's not turned on. Again, the behavior of the shoulder is defined by the rollover values that are assigned to the points. So the edge of pavement point, the PGL point, has the superelevation flag defined, and then the other edge of pavement point has that defined. So that's just telling the software to consider these 3 points when you're applying superelevation. So let's go ahead and just run the corridor real fast using that template. So I'll select my center line, create a corridor, use my active profile. I'll pick my template, make sure I've got the right one. And I'll just tell it alternate to lock to start, alternate lock to end. I'm going to run it for the full range. We're going to put in a template drop every 5 feet and no transitions. And now I'm going to go ahead and assign superelevation to this corridor. So in the previous video, I created my superelevation. It was in a separate file. I'm going to attach that file. It's under 400 Engineering. Under Roadway Base Maps, it's our KS file, 001. And let's go ahead and attach that. So that brings in my lanes and my superelevation sections. So in the Open Roads Modeling tab, Corridors group, superelevation commands, we're going to use assign to corridor. It asks me to identify the first superelevation section. When I process this, I have 2 sections, and the sections correspond to the curve sets. So I'm going to pick the first section and the second section. And when I'm done picking those, I'll reset or right-click to complete that step. And now it asks me to locate the corridor, so I'll just pick one of the handles for the corridor graphic. Now it's read my template and it's found the points that it's guessing define the left lane and the points that define the right lane, and these are correct. If they were incorrect for some reason, you can look at the drop-down list. And what this is showing me is only the points that have a superelevation flag turned on that are not at the center, and this will be the PGL point at the center. So I'll go ahead and pick OK to assign those points. And the superelevation has now been assigned to my corridor. Now nothing really looks different here. I can review this and verify the superelevation results, and we'll talk about that in the next video.